Brotherhood, and this is my real brother, co-founder, founder, CEO, director, originator. In fact, I owe this man a lot, if you want to ask me. But I wanted to just bring this all out because he he started this with intentions of just changing people's minds, and I just
Mm.
wanted to have a conversation with him. Michael, introduce yourself. Tell the audience, tell the people on the replay who you are, what you do, what you stand for, what you did, and let's get it cracking because I this is going to be one of my best interviews. It's my honor, my
Yeah,
privilege to be
yeah,
doing this with you, my brother. Let them know.
love it. Hey, thank you for having me here, Gordon. And likewise, I can speak volumes of yourself and the shifts you made, the things that you do, and the things that you help people do as well. And we have that in common. The common thread that connects us is not just a friendship and a brotherhood, but it's also the desire to just evolve, to become better versions of ourselves, and to not allow the past to dictate our present or our future. And I love that about you. I've seen you grow, I've seen you expand with the family, with growth, with business, and just your tenacity to move through challenges is something that I think really connects both of us. And for those watching, we hope that today's conversation brings not just inspiration, not just motivation, but actually gives you a different way of seeing things. And actually embedded within this conversation, there will be tools if you catch them. So I want to invite you as you listen that my voice nor Gordon's voice is the most important voice. We're two voices connecting. There's going to be another voice in this conversation. So my invitation is for you to really watch this in a place where there's no distraction, because the other voice that I want you to listen to, the most important voice, is the voice that's going to be speaking to you as an inspiration. The voice from spirit, the voice from God, the voice from your higher self, whatever word connects with you more. But that's the voice that's really going to drop the nuggets, and this conversation is going to spark that insight, that wisdom. And those are little nuggets that you can only catch if you're really focused and paying attention. So I want to invite you guys as you listen in, get a notepad, get a pen, so you guys can catch those gems for yourself. Because again, the intention for this conversation, I think Gordon agrees, is that you'll walk away with some tool, something that will actually help you in your life. So with that said, my name is Michael Torres Jaimes. Thanks for the introduction. And I help people release fears, phobias in 15 minutes or less. I do that through advanced tools, techniques that I've been certified in and that I've modified and now created some things. Well, things have been created through me that is even, I believe, one of the latest, most advanced ways of helping people shift not only their mind, because the mind is one component, which is a very important component. It's a powerful organ that we have in our brains. But that mind is obviously connects us to our bodies, to our nervous system, to our parasympathetic nervous system, that creates that when we align and when we heal and when we connect to that natural state, connect the mind and the heart, connect it to your body, there is nothing that you can't do. And so we're going to be talking about that and what I do. And again, let's let this conversation flow. Brother Gordon, thank you for having me on again.
No, absolutely. As you can tell, guys, I guess you can tell, Mike is very knowledgeable. In fact, if you want to work with Mike, he does have certification courses that I want to shoot out to you because he is, to me, the growth that we've seen of healing people because we healed ourselves. If
Absolutely.
we heal ourselves in a way that most people do not understand that.
Mm,
Michael's path that dove deep spiritually, with harmonics, with vibrations, with light waves, with everything else that you got going on. And he's modified his ways of doing things to make his own spin so people can be related to, so they can pull that out of him. He's a master at this stuff, guys. Because
yes.
like I told you, he is a literal master. He's done um travels with it. He's sat with the brightest people. He sat with religious people to
Yeah.
get it spiritually. That's how much he's done it. Mike, let me ask you a question.
Mm.
What is the biggest thing you see in the modern day now that you know you can help?
That's a great question. And I want to tie that back a little bit into kind of how I even came along
I was
or
okay.
on this journey. But that's a great question because it's the same that I
Absolutely.
seen back then and that I'm seeing right now. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
lot of different topics to talk about that can bring clarity in this beautiful, wonderful space of spirituality, personal development, mindset growth. The field of personal development is bigger than it's ever been,
Yes.
and with that, there's lots of also confusion within the field as well.
Very
And
true.
so I want to talk a little bit about that and how I stumbled across this path wasn't conscious, consciously chosen. It was chosen from a place of desperation, of apathy, of suicidal thoughts, of questioning everything about myself. And that was in 2002 when I was federally indicted by the federal government for a drug conspiracy. And I remember sitting there and looking at 20 to Life and wondering what the hell, who did I kill to for this, right? And I just didn't get it. And I was really in my blamer mode. Like,
Okay.
how dare them? This is wrong. This is not right. And I was really trying to justify at that point me being victimized. And,
Mm.
and it took me a little bit to figure that out. But that victimization of what I was creating in my mind led me down a very dark path very quickly. Within 2 to 3 months, I was looking in the mirror in a 6x8 cell. I'm not sure how big they are in FDC, which you are familiar with. And it's a small cell. And they have little mirrors. They're not very, very good mirrors, but it's a mirror. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and not even recognizing who I was in a way because I was so depleted from not eating, from stressing, from not
Yes.
sleeping, from worrying, looking at 20 to Life and feeling like everybody in there is trying to like tell on me or get information from me. So I didn't know who to trust.
I get,
And I
yeah,
was just walking
absolutely.
around there. You know the feeling, right? People
Absolutely.
are, doing their thing to get out, and I wasn't. And so it was a very, very difficult moment. And for those of you out there who have never been through that, let me kind of give you an idea. Imagine your external world as you know it, everything that gives you meaning, how much money you have, the cars, the houses, the relationships, everything that right now you feel gives you some sort of connection to life. And that's how we're conditioned. We're conditioned from a very young age that the more you have externally, the more internally you feel good about yourself. It's common, it happens. Most people are operating from that same place that I was. And so the problem is that when the external changes, which all of you know listening to this podcast, it does. Things come, things go, money rises, money falls, relationships come, relationships go. If we attach our identity, our self worth to those external things, when they shift, which they do, our emotional state, our power goes with it. So this was an extreme experience of all my external world shifting like that in the 6x8 or 10 cell and just really feeling down, right? And so I didn't know how to get out of it because I was creating it in my own mind. And I knew that, but yet I didn't know how to get out of it. Go ahead, you got something?
No, no, no.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
agreeing. Keep going,
So
Mike.
so yeah, you're feeling it, right? Because you're like, we're in this, we've all been there. Whether you were incarcerated or not, we've all been in these mental loops in
Mhm.
which it's like this downward spiral, and our thoughts, the inner voice, and the emotions are just winning the battle, right? And that's how it felt in that moment, in those moments, until I had a shift in about 3 to 4 months within that experience. I went to a gentleman that was walking around every single day, every day, and he was happy. And he was walking around and he would just had this smile on his face and he'd be like, "Hey, my boy, and how you doing, everybody?" And I'm just looking around. This guy is not like anybody else in there. And so one day I go up to him, to his cell, and knock on his door. His name was Harold. And I go, hey, Harold. I knew his name, but I didn't really know him very well. I just kind of would say hi to him here and there. And I go, can I come in? He goes, yes. Come in, my boy. He tells me. And I go in there and I go, I don't know who to talk to right now. I don't trust any of these people in here. And for some reason, I feel like you have something that I need. You have a smile and you have this inner glow that I desperately need right now because I'm about to kill myself, literally, right? He
Unbelievable.
starts talking to me and he starts speaking into me in a way that I never had anybody speak into. He spoke to my soul and he started to
Ooh.
speak internally and I started to feel better. And he was talking about
Ooh.
God, spirit, but in a way that it was reminding me that God wasn't outside, it was within. And that I could achieve that relationship and that love and that connection right now. And it was so interesting because the way that he was expressing it just felt so right. And I'm like, where did you learn that from? Like, how can I get more of this? Right. So he gave me some stuff to read, and it
Hmm.
was books on meditation, books on spirituality of a gentleman named Paramahansa Yogananda. And so I started to read these books, and he would kept talking about in these books that the answers are within, that God is within, that love is the eternal truth. And it sounds so simple, right? But for some reason,
Sounds simple.
it just hit me. And so
Yeah.
that started me really questioning everything about myself, who I created myself to be, the identities that I created, the masks that I have been wearing all those years,
Ooh, the mask.
the me hiding inside of myself because I just didn't want to let people in.
Hmm.
And I started to realize that I didn't have to carry all that anymore. And so I started to put in the actual work in letting go of some of those old belief structures, letting go of some of those old identities in a place that was not going to say the ideal environment to change, because prison is an environment that is very negative, as you know. And oftentimes people go in there and come out worse than they were before they went in there.
They still
And I made
do.
it, and I made a decision that that was not going to be me. So I spent about 10 years in there. And those 10 years, I really focused on reading. So again, you were talking about I sat with different teachers. So for 10 years, the teachers that I sat with did come in human form. And Harold was one of them.
Okay.
And there was two more that happened along my journey, but a lot of my other teachers came in the form of books. And so
Mhm.
I learned not how to just read a book, because you can read a book and be like, oh, this is a great book. It's got great information on it, and maybe even take some notes on the book. But there's a way to read a book in which you can tap into the energy of the consciousness that wrote the book. And I started to learn, it didn't happen overnight, but I started to learn how to absorb the mindset, the energy, the frequency of the people that would write books. And that's how those were my teachers. So I had some great teachers, read lots of books. Some of them were just read like, yeah, cool, not so cool. Some of them were read and they were studied. And I would let the spirit speak to me of which books that I would study. And so I started to change my language, change my vernacular, change everything about me. And I would study and I would read and I would practice changing my mindset, my neurology in there. And so that continued for 10 years. And I started to coach men in there how to, because they were coming up to me. Like I went up to Harold and they were like, you freaking are happy in here, right? And I watched people in there, majority in their age really fast,
Hmm.
and they were aging really fast. And going back to the problem that you asked me for, right? I'm getting there.
Right.
Is because they kept talking about the things that they once had, or wish they could have had, that things they didn't had, and that
Yes.
was all tied to a past identity, and all of that worry, all of that hanging on to, was causing them to literally age fast. And I watched it, and I'm like, these people aren't just in physical prison, they're in a mental
Mental
prison,
prison.
right?
Yes.
And so you're
And some
asking
of
me, right?
spiritual too.
Absolutely, right?
Exactly.
And so I started to help people that were open how to break out of that mental prison that they were in. And Harold was one of my mentors, and I met another mentor at Terminal Island named Stan. He also helped me, taught me certain literature like the Course of Miracles and the Urantia book and other material as well. And then I left Terminal Island and I ended up in Lompoc where we met. And there
Again.
I met a wonderful human being named Doug. And Doug and I would walk and talk every day, and we would talk about higher level learning. Now, all these three men were all in different prison that God put for me to have a
Absolutely.
mentor, along with all the other books and my relationship with God. And so I can look back now and I can connect all of the dots and
Nice.
see how I was
Nice.
so protected and guided and loved and just divinely led
The grace.
throughout that whole 10 years that I never once got into any physical confrontation, which is pretty challenging. I'm sure you've seen people, get into it over there. And it wasn't because I was hiding. It wasn't because I was afraid. It was because I was embodying being led through love. And that's when I
Love.
began to really learn that the energy of love is not what most people understand. It is a powerful energy. It is
Yes.
fearless. It is confident. It doesn't cower. It's like Gandhi had this, Martin Luther King had this energy, Nelson Mandela. These people created movements that changed our humanity, and they did it through love, not fear. Prior to that, I was all about using fear. Fear,
Hmm.
fear to get respect, fear to be liked, fear to be loved. Fear was my way of being
That
until
validation.
these transitions started to happen. So when I got out, in 2012 is when I said, okay, well, okay, God, I know you want me to do this work. I was having visions incarcerated. I was going to help men and women, but I didn't know how, because what I learned then is what I know now more than ever, that God doesn't give you the whole vision. God gives you pieces of it. And
Mhm.
it's up to you to act on that piece, right? So I knew I had to act on it, but I didn't know how. And it was some challenging times getting out, trying to figure out the world again and how to acclimate
Right.
to the world, to the finances, to the income. Because at the same time that I knew I was going to help people free themselves from the mental prison, I still had to pay my rent. I had to figure out how am I going to get. I had probation. I had all these things that I had to do,
Yep. Yep.
and the weights, as you know, were heavy. Not the weights from prison, the weights after, with either the record, with the
The
way people see you,
responsibility.
right?
Oh, yep.
And so what I learned is that it's not. It was all in my mind, even when I got out, how I seen myself, and it took me a few years because I just needed to go through that process to realize, like, I can recreate myself and I do deserve to be able to do this. And I had to let go of another
Yes.
layer of guilt, another layer of shame that I thought I was already done with when I was incarcerated. But there was another layer that I let go of before I was able to step into my life's calling, which is what I'm doing now. And so now, I'll give you guys a quick little insight. Yes, upon getting out, Gordon was talking about some of the trainings that I've done. So I have gone and sat with some really powerful men, powerful trainings throughout my career, and I continue to invest in myself. Now, I'm not really going to much trainings anymore. I'm more creating things now from the different backgrounds that I've gone to. I've been to India 3 times. I've studied. I'm a master trainer of NLP. I've got like 4 different coaching certifications. I have studied some of the world leading minds and sat in some powerful rooms. And so I see the patterns now. And on top of that, I've also been coaching one on one professionally since 2015, non-professionally since 2003, right? But
I was
2000,
just about to say it since before.
right? But when I sat there and I said, no, I'm going to actually do this as a living, as a structured format with paying clients, that was 2015. So it took me from 2002 all the way to 2015 to finally have it become a career,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Nice.
And so since then, I've been leading trainings, doing workshops. I was a lead trainer for a big coaching certification company for a while. And then I grew that, created my own company called Conscious World Changers in 2020, and started to do certifications of NLP, of life coaching. We're now accredited with the ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation. But we also lead another program called Pathway to Empowerment, where we have taken, so my wife's my partner, we have taken years of working with one-on-one, working with groups, working with different modalities to create a container, an incubator in which people it's in which people will shift and transform. It's impossible to not do that in this program if you follow the process, right? There's accountability calls, we do empowerment calls, we do advanced trainings, there's support, there's text messages. My wife and I lead powerful breath works with hypnotic language patterns to help release the emotions, reset the nervous system so that people can actually live an empowered life and actually be able to go out and create a life like you're creating, Gordon, a life in which you do the things you love, right? You've broken out of that, right? Because you, like me, at first got out and how we did the things we had to do, and all of us got to do that sometimes,
Right,
right?
right.
But now
Of
you're
course.
getting to do the things that you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's a huge shift that you're making, that I've made, and that I want to encourage everybody on this call to make if you have not already made it. And if you've made it and you're in it, right? Just hang in there, stay focused. There's a formula, and we want to talk about that. So, um, back to your question, what do I see people right now struggling the most? What I see is a lot of people have the knowledge, they have the trainings, they have the vernacular, they have the spiritual, wording, personal development jargon, right? But it's all here. It's all
Right. Okay.
here, right?
No application
They haven't gotten it in here, right?
internally.
And if you don't get it in here, as soon
Yep.
as the what hits the fan, you fall apart. The relationship, the career, the business,
Yep.
the health, right? Because there's a lot of people that create the knowledge and that gives them the justifications to stay stuck. And so in the coaching world, in the personal development world, there's this competition amongst coaches. They're competing, or don't, I can't learn from you if you're not Tony Robbins. And people are just stuck in this identity of I am more than. And it came from the old life, and now it just morphed into the spiritual life, and it's called spiritual bypassing. I like to call it personal development bypassing, where you're using the tools to actually stay stuck. And that motivates me. It
That's a
just
whole
cracked them
different
open.
thing. Yep. I mean, guys, when I told you you're in for a big treat with Mr. Michael Hymas, like I said, we've been friends for 20 plus years. We've seen our both bottoms, we've seen our both tops with a different phase of life that we got going on. Guys, the products, the products, the services him and Cindy have, his wife, should be basically trademarked. That's a hint.
Yeah.
Trade. No, because I want to tell you a little short story about Mike Gaming. Me and Mike wanted to do something all this time. I got hurt at my job. I mean, forget about all the prison stuff. This is how we met. I can go through all this whole story. This is why I want to be his. One day we'll be on stage and I'm gonna be his pre hype man, because I know from point A to point Z, the grace, the spirituality, the flow, the application, the the sleeping on the couches
Yeah.
stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The getting of the scholarships, to getting
Yes.
burnt, to
Yeah.
doing all that stuff, to all
Absolutely.
that stuff. I know everything about this man to what he became today. He has the applications, the drive, the settings, and the heart to
Mm.
give it all to you in a way that nobody else will. Forget about all the old stuff that you got, the Tony Robbins, the Dan Grossi. I've been on stage with them and all these guys already. Yes, that phase is gone.
Mm.
It's in for the new guard. It's new
Yeah.
for new applications. It's new for new stress relievers, not just physical, spiritual,
Yeah.
emotional, mental. And that's what Mike provides, because I wouldn't put my boundaries and brotherhood that, in fact, I'll take it back for a minute. Mike see me get hurt. He called me up. Brother, you was somebody before prison. You was somebody in prison. You did the right thing. It's time for you to get off your ass.
Mm.
And this is what I did, guys. I did. I told Andrea, this motherfucker, but I respect him so much that me and him can tell each other just like that. Because we've been through a program, behavior
Yeah.
program also together.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? We also been through a drug behavior modification program that I've rebuilt for my youth program.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
detrimental to my success, and he never
Yes.
let me down through all these years.
Yes.
Mike, I just want to say thank you
You're
publicly,
welcome.
because
Yeah.
this is what he does, guys,
Yeah.
right? Because his
Thank you.
turmoils I mean, I can tell you stories about Mike. We've got so
Yeah.
many stories, but let me
Yeah.
let's rein it back,
And
right?
can I
Because
just say something really quick?
absolutely, brother.
Is one of the things I want to piggyback on this because that was so powerful. And Gordon, the people watching this that know you, and those that watching that don't know him, the thing is what I want to let's like expand a little bit about is that the gift that I have is to see in people sometimes things that they don't see, and to be able to say it in a way that can potentially wake them up. So they're going to either hate me or they're going to love me for it. And with Gordon, what I saw and what I see is such a powerful human being, brother. And that's all I was calling out. I was just calling the
Absolutely,
powerful human within you. And so I'm
absolutely.
so glad you're stepping into that role. And so, but I want to ask you, like in your own self, like I want to get into your mind a little bit. Like what shifted in you that
Okay.
because you could have went back
Oh
and
yeah.
you're like leading, you're following your vision now.
Yeah.
Like, and you got two beautiful, awesome children. You got a beautiful wife. And so that's responsibility
Yeah.
as a man, right?
Right.
I got
Right.
a
Right.
wife, I got a 15-year-old. Our other kids are already older, but you got two little ones that they depend on dad,
Hmm.
right? How did you shift in a way that you were like, let's do it, knowing that you got this responsibility? Like, what shifted in your mindset and in your body?
Perfect. In fact, that question I'm going to answer you right now because this is something that I know you want to get answered. When I fell into a cab, and I've done this thing because I used to be a doorman and bellman at Cosmopolitan for over 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
When I fell into the cab and I fell into head first, I thought I broke my neck.
Mm.
I couldn't move. I thought I was paralyzed from the neck down. I got
Yes.
up. I continued my job. I couldn't feel half my body, but I still did the service.
Yes.
At that moment, I said, "Screw this! Why am I working for a corporation that don't care
Mm-hmm.
about me and treat it like a number?"
Yes.
You and me both know how to be treated like a number. We both have
Mm.
federal ID cards, treated like a number, like a piece of cattle.
Yep.
And I told myself, I have more integrity and more talent,
Mm-hmm.
more everything to give than working with for these people. It was a good job. It's a 6 figure a year job, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it served its purpose.
Yes.
Yes,
May,
that
may I ask,
served
may
its
I ask
purpose. Absolutely, absolutely.
what part of your body was actually injured? Was it your back?
When I fell, I tripped over a speed bump. I fell head first
Mm.
into a cab door.
Wow. Head
So
first.
if I wasn't built this way,
Yeah.
the therapist, the doctor said, I would have broke my neck.
Oh, okay. So it was so you hit head first. So
I went head first into a door. I went in the door, like side of the door of the cab, like it crushed the door
mm,
because I went off the ground. It
yeah,
almost like a motorcycle accident.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So at that moment, I said, the whole thing flashed before my life. My kids, who's gonna be there for my kids? Yeah, we have insurance. Who's gonna teach them to be men?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be able to guide them? Who's gonna let them have a childhood? All this such rush into it. And so I went through physical therapy, did all this stuff, had to learn how to, in fact, I just got it back maybe 6 months, six back. I got all my real strength back,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yep.
go to the gym, I do everything else. But the change happened when you look at these two kids, the purpose that I have in life, the purpose I
Mm,
have to save other men, the purpose I have to save other people,
mm,
right? The purpose I have to these kids that I just did with
mm.
Real Talk with the parents.
Yep.
I have much more to
Yep.
give in this world.
Yep.
And you, my friend,
Yep.
are a big accumulation to that
Yeah.
because of that one word, because of the respect we both have for each
Yeah.
other.
And I just want to commend you, brother, because that decision that you made, that process that you went through, that came from a very difficult situation, another one in your life in which you had that injury. And you made a decision. Maybe it took you a little bit of time to make the full decision, but you made the decision shortly after that to follow this path that you're now following. And so you left that. And so what I want to share with all of you listening to here is there's two ways that we can learn, simplify it in this life. One is through personal experience of things that happen. as things we do. The other that we can learn is through other people's experiences of things that they go through. That's
Yes.
what separates us from the animal kingdom. Well, one of the things, and there's other things that separate us from the animal kingdom,
Mhm.
is we have extremely powerful neuroplasticity and mirror neurons, which I can watch something, literally mentally rehearse that in my mind and actually have an internal experience of it and a learning and the actual wisdom without me actually doing it. So, my challenge to you guys is don't wait.
Don't.
Don't wait until you go headfirst into the cab. Don't wait until you hit a rock bottom, whether it's health. Don't wait until your health gets so bad. Don't wait until your relationship goes so bad that you lose him or her. Don't wait and keep working in a career that you know is not your blueprint. And don't wait for something to get so
Powerful.
bad like Gordon did, like I have, right? To make the
Powerful.
shift. What I love to teach, Gordon, is that people don't have to wait for those experiences.
Exactly.
Right? You don't gotta wait.
You don't have to wait.
Don't wait for it to get so bad where you have to break
Yeah.
your neck
Yeah.
almost and almost be paralyzed to wake the heck up.
I
Because
mean,
that
I'm
voice
going to
was
tell
calling,
you
that voice was calling you, Gordon, to do that
all
before.
this time. But like you said, like it served when I got that job, it was a pristine job,
Yeah,
especially with me having my ankle bracelet and everything else. I was the poster child for an ex-felon working in the
absolutely.
because it's unheard of, right?
Yeah.
But it fulfilled its position. And when me and my wife talked, like she said, go do what I know you know how to do.
Hmm.
It's another thing, right? She
Right.
goes, I got us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's busting her butt, she's flying,
Yep.
but she loves to fly. But she knows, like me and Doc was talking, she knows because I'm that type of man. She knows the direction.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
She knows I have boundaries. She knows I have the integrity. She bought into what I do because she's seen me do it for so long. She said, I got us now. All
Yep.
right. I mean, we struggle for a little bit financially, but the 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 childhood I give my kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The opportunities that are rising right now
Yeah.
is just doors is opening up in a way that it's like ridiculous. I'm gonna tell you another story,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
All right.
I want to hear this story and I want to hear about the doors opening up because if that door didn't close,
Yeah, you don't open up other doors.
you don't open up other
Yeah,
doors.
you
But
don't
when
have
the
the
door
doors.
closes, it feels like, oh my God, it's over. That door is closed. There'll never be another door. Oh my goodness. That is the trap. So Gordon, I want to applaud you again. So tell me about the doors that are opening up for you now.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Before all this happened, I used to have a gift
Yep.
doing math, doing questions, having
Hmm.
answers. When I went to the all the stuff that we go through, I lost that gift, Mike,
Mm,
of getting answers. Like I
yeah.
I I went to an all boys private school because I was a at risk youth.
Hmm.
I couldn't figure. I couldn't explain how I got answers on the board mathematically.
Right.
It was a gift. I lost that gift.
Mm,
Just recently, Mike,
mm,
the door opened for me to
mm,
have answers for a lot of different questions and
mm.
answers in this world of what I'm in now.
Yeah.
When I was driving home from the gym, he hit me,
Mm,
a man up above.
yeah.
I graced you with your gifts back again.
Mm,
Because you do meditation walks, you do prayer walks. I go to the gym, I ride back with the
yeah.
kids, this and that. And the doors, spiritually,
Mm,
mentally, answering problems, they just come.
mm,
People are just like lining up right now. It's
mm.
like, Gordon, what do you do? Well, how are you doing this? This and that. And I
Yeah.
explained to them because Gordon, you got to come to me, do this. And people are popping back in my life, the ones
Yeah.
that are meant to be
Yeah.
for this very same reason, like
Yeah.
you.
Love it.
And like
Love it.
you said, Mike, if you're watching this, are you watching this on one of Mike's with Mike's audience?
Yeah.
What he gives you, you can have it
Yeah.
all. It all through his
Yeah.
program with him and Cindy. Amazing
Yeah.
work. You'll be a new
Yeah.
person in 30 minutes. Easy.
Yeah. 100%. And I want to kind of touch on something so that people can really capture this, because this is a little nugget, and it's this, is that when you ask me what I did, I said I can help people release phobias, fears that they've had for 20, 30 years in 15, 20 minutes. And with that said, the shift that Gordon's talking about isn't overnight. Yes, you can let go of a fear. You can forgive. When you actually forgive, it's instant. People
Oh, that's a
mistake
whole nother golden nugget right there.
when people say it takes time to forgive. It takes
Mm,
time to be ready. But when you actually forgive, it is actually instantaneous,
yes,
right?
yes.
So how long do you want to wait until you're ready to forgive or let go? That's really what it comes down to. And so what Gordon is talking about is a shift that happens, which is called like a quantum leap, where all of a sudden things start to happen
Here
really
we go with
fast.
the quantum leaps
But it
again.
happens as a result of creating momentum over time and space, because although we can tap into quantum worlds, which just means beyond time and space, other realities, we do live in this reality, which has time and space. It takes so long for me to get from here to there. If I was to go visit Gordon right now from California to Las Vegas, I can calculate how long it would take me to get on a plane and get there, and how
Physically.
long it would take me to drive there. That's Newtonian physics. And we try to create from that, which takes long. Quantum reality is everything has already happened now. Your future self is already here. Everything that you
Man,
want is already here. And there is, it's not just, oh, it's here. I'm going to wait around
no, it's
and
been.
it's just going to fall in my lap. There's also a formula that you have to apply for that to happen. And you got to create momentum. Gordon, I see you. You got something on your brain right now. What's up? Talk to me, Gordon.
No, because it's been. Everyone has this certain type of light in them. Everybody has this certain type
Yeah.
of aura with them. You can capitalize it, you can use it, you can transport it, you can go in a different space. I'll give you Mike has tapped into that long ago. He
Mm-hmm.
has figured that out and he's mastered this, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he said quantum, I was like, okay, here we go. But this is part of the thing that you all have it.
All of you.
Everybody has it. Confidence, because you're not confident to do it. If you can't, confidence was a currency, how would you spend it?
Mm, yeah. How would you spend it? So the three topics that I think everybody should have some knowledge on. Again, you don't got to be an expert, but at least have an understanding of these three things. You need to understand neuroscience, which means how your brain actually works, how your body actually operates, and how it's all connected. That's the neuroscience part. Different regions of your brain. I'm not going to go into it in this call, but there's really basic, and we can break it down simply of how that works. And why is that important? Well, imagine you go to the car dealership and you buy a Ferrari, and you just buy it. You don't even learn how to use it. You know how to press the gas, but you don't know how to use all of the different features that it has. That's basically how it is, right? So we don't have the user manual of the brain, of the body. So that's number one. Know the neuroscience, know your brain, know what it can do and what it's not designed to do, and how to use it to maximize your life. So that's one realm that I want to encourage everyone to look into.
One,
Yes.
yep, yep.
The second thing is another school of knowledge that's called epigenetics, which is similar to that because it's about biology. And it's also saying that your genome, your DNA, can be changed through your thinking. So that knowledge ties in the idea that we are not destined to repeat the past. We can actually break generational trauma bonds and even shift and break diseases that are passed down in our family through the power of how we think and how we command ourselves. So closely related to neuroscience. The third one is understanding the concept that's been called woo woo for so many years, but now they're like really doing better studies around it, which is the quantum physics, quantum science, which is the what you can't see, taste, and touch. And physics was only before really valid in the area of Newtonian physics, which is what you can see, touch, smell, and taste, which is important to know. And a lot of NLP is centered around that. So NLP is around how we communicate, how we process information, how the brain works, how we create in this reality. But when you couple that into the quantum world, which is basically tapping into certain realities that you can create, that you can call into the present moment, you will be able to have those realities present. And again, there's a little bit of a formula that you have to go through for Gordon to do that. But that'll be just like a little bit of a deeper, longer, maybe educational conversation that I want, we'd have to have.
But no, I mean, I'm loving it stuff because as you can tell, the brotherhood between what me and Mike have is so real. The knowledge this man has is so surreal with all what he just mentioned. He can break these things down so that you, the normal person, can understand what you might be going through and the stresses in life and how you can release that pain, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the name of the company, right? Conscious World Changers,
Yeah.
right? And let me ask this personal question, right? We're both married, we both have a good life, we both in different directions. How does this type of medicinal medicine for internally affect your relationship with Cindy? Because I'm so happy that you have Cindy, honestly, because
Yeah.
you deserve that, right? How does
Yeah.
you and her, the relationship, the building, the bonding, the trust, the conversations, how does this all tie in?
Hmm. Well, on that end, my relationship with my awesome and amazing wife today is
Absolutely.
through years of studying relationships, not just my own, but reading different people who I've mastered relationships because I was horrible at them. It was the one area that I was the
That's
weakest
why
in.
I asked.
I
That's
was
why I
like,
asked.
I was really good at making money. I was pretty good at taking care of my health. I was really good at being alone, right? But I wasn't so good in a romantic, loving relationship. That was the one area that I just kept getting wrong. I was like, but what I realized is not that I was getting wrong, is I was getting learnings along the way to prepare me for meeting Cindy.
Correct.
Now I know that, right? But in the moment, I was like,
So
maybe I'm just not cut out to be with somebody. Maybe I'm just here to have these experiences and learn something, and I'm gonna, but again, the way that I keep using this word formula, right? I'm just really big on formulas and
nothing
processes
wrong
and
with it.
strategies, because just like you bake a cake, you can have the same ingredients and bake a horrible cake, same exact ingredients and bake a great cake. We have ingredients. We know we have the ingredients, but we don't always know the process and how to put it together. And so a relationship is a formula. It's just like
True.
making money is a formula. Building a
True.
business is a formula. Taking care of your health, there's definitely a formula for that. And so it's a formula that I've learned, that we've learned, and that we've grown into. And she took her experiences, I took my experiences, and it has been just such an easy relationship
Amazing.
that it's just like I just never
Amazing.
had anything it's been. Do we have our disagreements? You
Of
bet we do,
course.
because we have two different minds and two different perspectives, and she has her view as a woman, I have my view as a
Yep.
man. But it's not drama, it's not heavy, it's so beautiful, it's so inspiring. We grow. I can look back over the last 5 years and I can see the growth that we both had. And so
Yep.
to me, I've never had, it's always been like, oh, it's not really working here, right? So this is a formula that we've found. And there's again, vision, lots of good conversations, value alignment. There's a lot that goes to it. With visioning, we had very clear projections of where we want to be from the very beginning.
Oh yeah.
Almost from the very beginning, we were like, where do we want to be in 3 months? Where do we see ourselves in 6 months? If we're here in 1 year, we'll continue. If we're not, we won't continue. We were very intentional and very clear, and we would project. In 1 year, we would be engaged. In 2 years, we would be married. In 3 years,
Mhm.
we would be here. So we had projections and we had lifestyle compatibility that worked, right? That we would
Nice.
talk about. And the question we would sit in is if you weren't with me, if you weren't with me, we would both ask this of ourselves.
Okay.
What type of lifestyle, what would you be doing on a day-to-day basis? Like what would make you happy, right? If I wasn't with you and we both answer it on paper. And so then we try to create a lifestyle in which we don't have to sacrifice as much, because there will be, no matter what, a level of sacrifice in the relationship. Some days I want to eat here, she'll want to eat there. So that type of sacrifice.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But when there's a lot of alignment, then it's not really a sacrifice. It's just like, I'm doing this because I love her and because she likes it, and she does things that I love and I like, and that makes a mutual loving relationship. When you're invested in someone's happiness and they're invested in your happiness, guess what that creates? More happiness.
More happiness. I mean, I applaud. I mean, for me, Mike, I always just wanted to see you happy.
Yeah.
So everything that we've been through, I always just wanted to see you happy. Sometimes money doesn't make you happy, outside validation, everything that you might be going through, even like you said, the fear, the confidence, the businesses, everything don't mean crap at the end of the day if you're not serving somebody else, like your wife. You don't have that
100%.
purpose. And that's where, once you close that door of your old self and you open that up, you become a new person itself, especially with all that knowledge and experience that you have. Like, now you're making that choices, because nuggets you drop,
I see that.
Priceless, right?
There's a I'm gonna use the word power. When a masculine healthy energy comes together with a masculine female energy.
Absolutely.
And those are things that two men can't create and two women can't create. Nope. It's just not designed that way. Now, we have within ourselves both of those energies. We share masculine and feminine, but predominantly the way that you are born and the way that I am born, this is by design. I didn't make this stuff up. This is by divine design. It is designed so that when they come together and they can support each other in embodying their most powerful attributes, something magical can happen. But to get it right, though, is the challenge. That's why there's 50% divorce rate, because most people just don't get it right. There's these trauma bonds, there's these codependencies, there's not, embodying each other's strength. There's demasculation sometimes from the women to the men. There's men controlling the women, not allowing them to be. There's all kinds of things that come and prevent the divine union, right? Because we're not designed. Okay, we're designed to come together. Clearly, right? You put two men and women on a island over there by themselves, they'll come together and they'll mate and they'll have kids. That's you can't help that. But we're not designed to stay together. That takes work, right? Coming together will happen automatically. Staying together is where the family comes in, and then you start taking care of the kids. But you got to work at staying together, because
it's a job.
To breed is natural.
Yeah.
You're going to breed. We're going to breed. But staying together, that requires a little bit of different process and strategy, because how it was done back, like in our parents' days and their parents' days, is not how it's done today. Today, there's a level of freedom that there's never was back then with both. Right? People want it all now. They want emotional security, financial security. Before, it was like, nope, this is who you're going to marry, this is who you deal with, this is who you stay with. It was very different in my mom and dad's age. And you just didn't break up. Now it's like, you're not serving my needs, I'm out of here, right? It's like, so there's different challenges, but at the same time, there's a potential that's greater than there ever was at the same time, if you get the formula right. And so again, it's easier to be alone, easier because I was alone, you were alone, and that was easy. But once you go into a romantic relationship, all of a sudden, these shadow parts start coming up. These things start coming up that you never had before, right? You're like, where is this coming up? Where is this emotion coming up as a result of coming together with somebody? But that, my friends, can offer a huge potential of growth.
Huge potential, yes. I'm going to tell you, this is how you know you're dealing with professionals, right? When you're dealing with a professional, right? I'm going to tell you, in the marketing world, in the sales world, in the storytelling world, even in our world, we're now with the personal development coaching and what Mike does with changing, releasing. When you have frameworks, when you have blueprints, when you have wireframes, and you can recognize the wireframes because that's what works, this is how you know you're not throwing something at the board and hoping it sticks.
Yeah.
The frameworks Mike has created, the frameworks, the blueprint, the answers, It's regimented this
Yeah.
to get a result that I know what's going to happen because you've done it so many times and you know
Yeah.
the nuances that come from it,
Yeah.
right? When Mike said he has the blueprint, gentlemen, women, relationship coaches, people that want to get into this type of field, he has a blueprint that's been working for many, and he has the scars to prove it. That's
Yeah.
the coolest part about it.
Yeah.
And the part is, the personal part of having the relationship with Cindy, his wife. You mean that's just icing on the cake because the bonus for each other is you get to share a life of not being alone.
Yeah.
You don't need it, but you want it because it gives you a light,
Yeah.
aura, a love that is when you look at like when you look at the things that you can accomplish together as a couple. You
Hmm.
mean like you
Yeah.
said, the modern women they want this, the simping, the 304s, all this other
Yeah.
crap that's going out there.
Yeah.
We talk about this stuff because it's changed.
Yeah. It definitely changed.
Now let me ask you
Right.
this last one before we end this, right? Because we can go on for like days, if not
Yeah.
we can continue this. Mike, if I was a person looking to cover up my pain, release my pain, do so, how would I do it? Give a brief synopsis on a blueprint and where can they reach you?
Yeah. So the question is, if you have pain, how do you cover that you're covering up? How do you release it?
Yes.
Right. I'm just going to give you a quick steps for someone to do that, and then I'll share if they want to experience it, what they can, how we can support people. Number one, you gotta obviously identify the root cause of the pain. It's like when you go to the doctor,
Yeah.
you have a symptom, a headache. The headache is letting you know there's a problem in the body. And what most people do is they take a pill, aspirin, ibuprofen to get rid of the pain, but they don't address the root cause. So the first thing is you have to get the root cause,
Yep.
not the why you're broken, which is where therapy goes a lot, but what's causing it. It's a very different approach that I use. I don't have people relive their past. I don't give a shit about their past, honestly. But I want to get to the core and what created that, so they can have some semblance, some understanding, and let go of certain core beliefs that's been shaping their current life. So that's number one. Number two is vision, tapping into the vision of who you're meant to be and setting some tangible goals that moves you towards their vision. That's two. And that gives you clarity. So number one, let's go of your baggage. Two gives you clarity and vision. Three is tapping into states, who you're being. So if, for example, say for example, Gordon, you're like, in 1 year from now, I want to take this, podcasting, I want to interview, and I want to create this business, and I'm going to help people, brand themselves, and I'm going to make, and by next year I'll be making, multiple six figures. Okay. So in order for you to make that, who does Gordon need to be? Confident, empowered, trusting, outgoing, communicative, whatever. There'll be a bunch of states that you need to be. That's not visioning, that's being. So states is who you're being. That's number three.
Mm-hmm.
Number four is taking action, actually moving your body and doing the thing that's going to move you towards your goal. Right? So but action is a lot easier when you've gotten rid of your baggage, when you have clarity on where to go, and when you know who you're meant to be. Number four is taking action. And number five is focus. Focus is defined in this context as focusing on two, which is the vision, focusing on what you want to happen versus what you don't want to happen, keeping your energy focused on feeding and nurturing the seeds that you planted, which is number two, the vision. So focus is, I'm focused on what I want. Focus on what I want. I don't get derailed. I don't focus on what I don't want. And focus also includes mastering. I'm going to use the word mastering of how to deal with obstacles, which are coming. So that's the formula. We have a free training coming up. We give people an experience of this. It's a full training, lots of value. There's nothing you can buy, and we do no selling. It is a legit 3-hour-a-day training coming up. We call it Breaking Boundaries, the art of expanding beyond your limits. Message Gordon, or you can reach me at Michael Torres Jaimes .com, MICHAELTORRES Gordon will put that in the link somewhere. And just reach out
Absolutely.
to us. We'll jump on an alignment call. Everything we do is we connect with people. So what separates one of the things is not just how we do things different than like a Tony Robbins or Joe Dispenza, is that you actually get to talk to myself or somebody close to my team. And it's very intimate rooms. So there's a lot of personalized touch. So I really get to know you guys, right?
Yes.
And so we have Breaking Boundaries, we have Pathway to Empowerment. We have, if you want to become a coach and learn the skill sets to be a ninja, we have certifications as well. However, we can support you, or if you just want to jump on a call and have a conversation, we're also open for that as well. So just reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you guys and see how we can support your audience and anyone that comes through this frequency of this field. We hope that you got lots of value from this. And if you did, share the video.
Oh,
Like
I'm
and
not even
subscribe to
worried.
Gordon. Like and subscribe to Gordon. Let's go.
I want you guys to work with Mike, because if you're going through some problems, you're going through some things right now. If you want to have his frameworks, have his blueprint with his team, with myself, I pop in with him all the time. It's like we can become a brotherhood. This is why in his program, Breaking Boundaries, mine's is Boundaries and Brother, because to break boundaries, you got to have boundaries and you have to know
Yeah,
yourself. The
absolutely.
brotherhood is, so me and Mike are brothers. We want to bring you into our world to help you fulfill your destiny,
Yeah.
your life, your purpose, your servitude, and walk in the grace of who you believe in and your faith. Guys, the links will be here. Follow us on the back page. Do everything. Mike, any closing things? Because this has been a pleasure. In fact, I'm going to bring you on some more. We're going to do this more often.
Yeah. I just want to encourage all of you guys with the most important thing I think we all can use, we all need, and that's hope. Just don't give up. Keep the
Absolutely.
hope that something better is coming. Don't lose the hope, because hope is what Viktor Frankl had when he was in the Nazi concentration camps. His hope kept him alive. And if he wouldn't have had hope, he wouldn't have been able to make the change he made in the world. So all of you have a vision, all of you have a purpose, and maybe it's clouded, maybe it's hard to see. Maybe you're starting to doubt your vision. Maybe you're wondering, like I've wondered, maybe this is not for me. Maybe you're questioning God. Who knows? You're going through whatever. Just don't lose the hope that there's another door like Gordon had, and that when this door is closed, just celebrate. Celebrate the doors
Yep.
closing. Don't try to keep opening up the same door. It's closed for a reason. Move through the next door, because as you move through those doors and you move through adversity, the man and woman you're meant to be is waiting for you on the other side. So I want to encourage you guys to walk through those doors, move with confidence, move with courage. You all have it. Just got to activate it.
All of it. Yep. All right, guys. This is Gordon Watts from Boundaries and Brotherhood. Aloha.
Aloha. All right, brother.
All right, my brother. That was good, huh?
Yeah, it was good. Oh my God. Hold on one second. I take a quick pee.
Okay. Yeah, you go here. Go.